Welcome to Handmade Happenings. I'm Marissa, and today I'm going to teach you how to crochet the corner to corner. I guess it's considered a technique or a pattern. I always think of it as a stitch, but it's not really. It's actually made up of a lot of different stitches. But it is worked, as the name implies, on a diagonal from one corner to the other. I really like this style because, to me, I can really feel like I'm making a lot more progress, even though it's probably the same amount as any other crochet stitch. But to me, it just grows really fast, and I can really see as it's getting bigger. And I also just think that it is a very fun technique. For this, you only need to know a couple of basic crochet stitches and techniques. You'll obviously need to know how to create a chain of stitches, which is how you start any crochet. You'll also need to know how to do a double crochet stitch and a slip stitch. And if you don't know how to do those, I do have a beginner crochet video that you can check out, or I will be covering the basic steps of each stitch the first time it shows up as I go through this pattern. So you're going to start out with increasing rows, and the first thing you're going to do is chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're going to count 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3. And you're going to work into that 4th chain. So right here. So you're going to do a double crochet into the 4th chain from your hook. So yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops, and through 2 loops. And then you're going to repeat doing a double crochet into the next 2 chains. So here's the second one. So pull up, through 2, through 2. And then in the last chain. Up, go through 2, and go through 2. And what you should have is 3 double crochets and 1 chain 3. And this is, believe it or not, the end of your first row. It is going to get bigger as you go along. And for the next row and the start of every increase row, which is going to go until you get it to the size you want, you're going to start the exact same way. So chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That one right there. So yarn over, pull up, pull through 2, through 2, and then repeat. And 1 more double crochet in that final chain. At this point, what you're going to do is you're going to slit stitch this into this square here. So you look at this square, you have your 3 double crochets, and then you have this chain 3. You're going to insert your hook under the chain 3, so between it and the last double crochet. You're going to pull the yarn through and then pull it straight through that loop. And that attaches them to each other. And then you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then work 3 double crochets into that chain 3 loop. So right where you slip stitched earlier, so between the chain 3 and the double crochet on that last square. So it's 1 double crochet, 2, 3. And that is the end of row 2. And you can already see it's starting to get larger. So for your next row, you're going to increase just like before, chain 6, 4, 5, 6. Turn your work. double crochet into that 4th chain, and then in the next 2, and then slip stitch to this square. So in between the chain 3 and the double crochet, slip stitch. Then for the remaining squares on this row, chain 3, 3 double crochets into that chain stitch, 2, 3, slip stitch onto the next square, chain 3, 3, and then 3 double crochets in there. And that is your 3rd row, and it just keeps getting bigger. So basically at this point your rows are going to continue in the exact same manner. Your first one will be increasing, so you'll chain 6 and work 3 double crochets into the into the 4th, 5th, and 6th chains from your hook. So basically chain 6, do 3 double crochets, slip stitch to the next square, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, slip stitch to the next square, and continue to the end of the row. And you just keep increasing until you reach the size that you want. So I've crocheted a couple more rows and have reached the size that I want for this sample. And in order to know that, basically you're crocheting a square. So say you want a 4 by 4 inch square, you would just measure one of these straight edges, and it should be the same by now, 4 inches or whatever. I don't actually know how long this is. But once you reach that point, you're going to start decreasing your stitches. So to do that, instead of coming to the end of the row and chaining 6 and toning it, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and tone it, and you're just going to slip stitch into the top of those double crochets from earlier. So you're going to work probably about 3 slip stitches, because that's 1, 2, 3. Well, I guess it's actually 4, because you are going to want to end up right here. That last slip stitch is going to be worked in between that chain 3 and that double crochet. So 4 slip stitches, and then you're going to chain 3, 2, 3, and work those little squares all the way across, just like you were doing in the previous rows. 2, 3, and then slip stitch to the next square. And continue working just like you did before, chain 3, all the way to the end of the row, sort of. And this is the last one you're going to work, chain 3, and double crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch into this last square. And then rather than continuing to increase on this end, because you already decreased on this side, you want to keep them matching on either end. You're going to go ahead and turn and slip stitch your way back. And then repeat, and that's what's called a decreasing row. And you're going to continue decreasing until you close your square. Turn it back to slip stitch back the other way, and you're on your last row. Well, we're on our last row here. So chain 3, 3, work 3 doubles into that chain. And then slip stitch to there. So to finish it, you would do like any other crochet project. You're going to clip a decent thread and just pull that thread through that loop, close the loop, and you have a corner to corner crocheted square. And that is how you crochet a corner to corner square. And you may be thinking, if you're like me, that you can only do squares with this technique. And that's great if you're doing rags or baby blankets or coasters. But there is actually a way to do it in a rectangle, and I'm going to demonstrate that next. A corner to corner rectangle starts out just like the corner to corner square with increasing rows. Alright, so you increase your piece until you reach the point where these two straight sides measure the length of the shortest side of your rectangle. So if you wanted a, say, 4 by 6 inch rectangle, then when your straight sides measure 4 inches, you're ready to start you're going to change your stitch. Say we're going to turn it this way, this side to stay this width, but I want this side to keep going because I want it taller. What I'm going to do is, instead of increasing at this end like I normally would, I'm going to tone it and decrease, but only on this side. So I'm going to decrease just like I normally would down here. And then work the rest of this row the same as always, all the way to the other end. And if it's helpful, you can mark the end that you want to stay shorter or the end that you want to keep getting longer. But I find that it's usually pretty obvious after the first row which one you're going to do which. Okay, so I've reached the other end, and normally if I was making a square, I would slip stitch it here, and then I would turn it and I would slip stitch back across and keep decreasing. But I want this side, remember, to keep getting taller. So instead of doing that, I'm going to go ahead and increase right here. And then because I'm still trying to get it taller, I'm going to start the next row on another increase. So chain 6, 5, 6, and turn. And so essentially what you're doing is you're picking one side to continue increasing, and you're picking one side that you're going to continue decreasing. And that is how you turn it into a rectangle. And then you just keep increasing on the one side until that side reaches the length that you want. And then you'll start your usual decrease on the overall piece. But I'm going to go back to the other end just to sample or show again how you treat that side. Okay, so we're back at the other side. We're going to attach it and then just turn it and slip stitch across in what would be considered a decrease. And now you can see really how that rectangle is taking shape. And this is why I say that really once you get going, it's going to be obvious which side is the decrease, because you can see it's coming up. It's no longer that triangle shape. And which side is the increase, because see here, it's still sticking up. It doesn't have that almost squared corner look. And so you would just continue like this, decreasing on this end and increasing on this end until this side becomes the length that you want. So in the example of 4 by 6, then until this side measures 6 inches. Once you have the long side to the length that you want, you'll just start decreasing on that side just like the other side and like you do with the square. This is the last square, and you just slip stitch it in and finish it. Just like any other piece of crochet. And there you have a corner to corner rectangle. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them.